Good morning, Rabbi Isai. By Michael Levin for my father's 16th yahrzeit. Aaron ben Moreno Harab Yisrael Yitzchak Levin Nifter Yudzayin Sion Tovshin Samachei. And sponsored by Dr. Chaim Lewitan. See here? Oh, shkoyach! As a thank you to Hakadosh Baruch Hi for being able to reopen his dental office. Should have a lot of atzlocha. What was it? A whole year closed? 14 months. You were employed, but just your office was closed for 14 months. Unbelievable. I love this email from Avram Aberbeck. Dear Belly, just want to let you know that I really enjoy watching your daf shir. I joined you almost at the beginning of COVID on YouTube. What is that, 14 months ago? You're still going strong. I'm going strong. Yeshukayach. He says Yeshukayach. I'm no novice at the daf either. At the end of Seder Moed, I'll Be'ezer Hashem be completing my 5th cycle. You keep mentioning that from a kasha start minished. You don't die from a kasha. I have a raya as we can yosh start from a kasha. You could die from a kasha. Rashi tells us, this is unbelievable, yeah? Rashi tells us that each of the Shiftei Ka married a twin sister of one of his brothers. And yet, when they came down to Mitzrayim, there were only 70 souls. So what does Rashi do? He kills off 11 Yiddish Techter because he had a kasha. But what happened to them? Isn't this the perfect proof? As we can yosh start from a kasha. P.S. The proof has an upshlag. If you were born from a kasha, who did the Shiftei Ka marry? Kemin yosh starbin from a kasha. I don't know. Your Talmud, Avram, Aberbach, it only comes after you finish Shas 5 times. Yeah. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? New guys. Nachan Seltzer, you want to schmooze with him? One-on-one? Also, Avrami Leibovitz. Good morning, Avrami. We have a private thing. Okay. We have time here. Baruch Hashem. This is from Jack Warman. Where's the book that he gave me yesterday? Somewhere around there, the Sefer.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
On a similar note. No, it says
it wasn't a question.
It says they have a kasha. It says Abravino. It says he had a daughter. Yeah. The daughter was Bakol. It says Hashem, right? So the question is, everyone asks, why can't Yitzchak marry Bakol? Right. And so the answer, you can't marry a medrash.
Can't marry medrash. Very good. Shkoyach. Nice job on the camera there, Gary. What do you do? Hello, Gary. Hello, we're in the middle of a share here. You didn't zoom in on the guy talking. Garnish. What do we have a camera for? He just got a joystick and garnished. He's different. Yosef Das Ishkoyach from Jack Warman. This is by Rabbi Yosef Warman. I didn't have a chance yet. He says like this. He didn't send it to get a plug for the Sefer. He just wanted to brag. He wanted to brag about his son. His son is 40 years old, lives in Lakewood. He has 6 children. Today, which is a week ago, this coming Sunday, he's making a Siyam Shas. This will be the 4th time he finished Shas. These guys are giving us Chalish Sadas. He's 4 times, the other guy's 5 times. He's written many things in Lashon Kodesh. I just want you to see what he did. Shkoyach, Jack Warman. I started with your daf at Brachas Daf Beis. Originally it was on YouTube recordings. Now I Zoom live. He's on Zoom live. Jack Warman. Rabbi said this comes out every single week. It's called OhrHaMercaz. And let me just tell you a little bit of what goes on here. There's Divrei Chizuk from Rabbi Yedidia Kramer, a taste of Chasidus from Rabbi Zalman Twersky from Chicago. Parsha thoughts by Moshe Hirsch. Shkoyach Moshe Hirsch. He puts this together, him, his wife, some other women. It's a lot of work. It's 11 pages of stuff. Rebelli Classics, compiled by Ari Bloom. He's an unbelievable writer. Daf Topics by Rabbi Yaakov Schoenberg. And this, Rabbi Isai, is a big one. Daf Insights by Moshe Tzvi Dauber. Dr. Dauber, he told us this is the first time ever that he's writing a shtickle Torah on Gemara like this. And he's what? He's in his 60s. Gemaldik. Know the Rashi by Sender Gross. Meet the family. Today, this week, is David Hauchhauser, if you want to get to know him. Kids Corner by Mordechai Sapaznik, the famous artist Mordechai Sapaznik, the one who donated the printer that I printed this on. For Kids by Akiva Solway. Akiva, Gary, now it's the time that you zoom out on Akiva Solway. Shkoyach, thanks. A Story for All by the one and only Nachman Seltzer. I don't know. But on this table alone, we have... You're done for today.
If it's what I think it is.
It's the last page. And this is Akiva Ziegler. Yeah. Which one is it? I didn't read it yet. Don't tell me it's the one in the train. What is it? I can't see. Where am I supposed to look? It's a long story. Give me like one line.
It's a story about a little boy who fell inside.
And fell inside a sewer? No way. The first Ma'aseh Shekamataya. When in my Shabbos table, I just do story number 97. And the other one goes, ha. This is story 1. When I was 3 years old, I fell into a sewer. I was flushed by a sewer. Oh, no? Okay. I'm not. Read it in here, Rabbi, if you want to know how it all started. Flush the Akiva Ziegler at the Malav Malk in the 5 towns, and Akiva sent in this picture that he found in, we got to start learning already, a car in Williamsburg, right in front of, this is the Satmar Rebbe's house, and look at this, MDY, 8-minute daf, it's all there. Shaimrim. This is Shaimrim. No, the 8-minute daf is Shaimrim. Okay. Rabbi, so we're starting a brand new parak today. Very exciting stuff. A lot of pictures, maybe even hands-on. Chafina, Kmitza. We're continuing with the Kohen Gadol, continuing the Avodah on Yom Kippur. They bring out a spoon, something like this, made out of gold. Ves machta, a shovel. We know what a machta looks like. We had a whole thing about machta the other day. Chafan miloi chafnav. He goes like this into the flour mixture, and he goes like this. Into the Torah, he goes like this with 2 hands. V'nosan l'toich hakaf, and then he pours it into, with his 2 hands, he pours it into the spoon. Hagadol lefi godloi. If he's a tremendous-handed man, that's how much he takes. V'hakoton lefi koton. If he has tiny little hands, that's how much it is. V'kach choisam midasa. Now we have to remember these 3 words. The Gemara is going to discuss them. What does it mean? V'kach choisam midasa. Okay. If you're large, small, small. V'kach choisam midasa. Is it referring to a kli? Is it referring to his hands? We'll see in the Gemara. Now, if you were writing the Mishnah, what would you write? You have 2 things here. You have the Ketores, and you have a shovel. What should you take in your right hand? Rabbi say, what? You have the Ketores and a shovel. What should you take in the right hand? You take the Ketores in the right hand. But you don't do that. You take the shovel in your right hand, the coals, and the Ketores in the left hand. The Gemara will explain why. Says the Gemara, Machta Tanale. So we already said, if you remember, the Machta, if we're talking about the Machta, it's on the 4th row. Here's the guy still mixing his thing. He's there for an hour already, going like this. If you look closely, right over here is the shovel full of coals. So where does the shovel come in here? What's going on? Says the Gemara, we already discussed the shovel. He fills it up with coals, comes down, puts it on the 4th roivet. Says the Gemara, we're not talking about the coals. Over here we're talking about a shovel full of Ketores. The Sanya. First, they bring him an empty spoon from a place called Lishkas HaKelim. And and also, this is the shovel. A shovel full of Ketores from Beis Aftinas. Remember Beis Aftinas? In the beginning, we said that they're not good people. They didn't want to tell the secret. Then Rebbe Akiva said perhaps they did it l'shem shamayim. They had a good reason. So he does chafina. Says the Gemara, why does he need a spoon? Isn't it better without a spoon? It says you should fill up your hands with Ketores and then go directly to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Why are you taking this extra step of emptying out your hands into a spoon which is not even brought down in the pasuk? Mishum deloy efshar, because we have no choice. The Hechi Navid, what should he do? Nayel v'hader nayel. If he should do 2 trips, he'll bring the coals in there, then he'll come back with his 2 hands, grab some Ketores, and make a second trip in there with the Ketores alone. It says in the pasuk v'lakach, only once, it doesn't say twice. So what should he do? So let's say he doesn't have a spoon. He just uses his hands, and now his hands are occupied with Ketores. So where is he going to put the gechalim? I love it. It sounds like this hurts a little bit. It's burning hot coals, but somehow maybe he puts like a leather piece, like we said, by the handle. He'll figure it out. He'll put the coals on top of the Ketores. And then he'll come. The problem is, that's great. He could travel from there to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Kimatim Hasam, but when he gets to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, Heichi Levin. What should he do now? Now he has his hands full of Ketores, and he has on top of that Gechalim. How is he going to remove the Gechalim and put them on the floor without dropping the Ketores? So this is an idea. Nishkele b'shinei v'nachte lemachta. Let him do it with his teeth. With his teeth, he could somehow position the coals on the floor. Hashta lefnei melech basav adam. Einoisin kein lefnei melech malchei amlach hakadosh baruch hu alachas kama v'kama. So certainly you cannot do such a thing. You can't move things around with your teeth in front of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. You wouldn't come to a king and give him something with your teeth. Drop something off on his table with your teeth. It's not nice. Baruch Hashem, there's a taisus here because we had, when I was doing if you recall, I did a chafina demonstration, and I was using my teeth because that was one of the pirushim. And taisus brings this Gemara later on Memtes. So how do you do chafina with your teeth? It's not proper in front of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. You're not supposed to be using your teeth. So taisus says there's a difference. If you're using your teeth to turn it like this, it's already in your hand, just going like this, that's okay. Maybe you can do that in front of a king. But like to position it, here, let me show you. If you go like this, not good. That's wow, I almost broke my teeth. That would have been funny. You're not worried about your teeth. You're worried about me breaking the... Okay. Anyway, so to move something from one place to another, that's not nice in front of the king. But to turn it around, that's fine. Says the Gemara, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no good way around this. What do we find by the Sim? It says by the Nesim, Kafachas, Asor Zom Taurus. I mean, this is one of the most famous psukim in the Torah because it's repeated how many times? 12 times. And Memela, it says that you give 1 kaf, so we use a spoon also in this situation. So he takes the shovel in his right hand and the spoon in his left hand, the spoon of Ketores. Says the Gemara, the famous line, Yetziva ba'ara v'giyore b'shmei shmayo. You take the guest, the person doesn't really belong here, and you put him up in the sky, you make him chashuv, and the guy that belongs here, you put him down in the ground. Ketores is the important thing. That's what we're talking about. So why is the Ketores in the left hand and the coals end up in the right hand? So first of all, there's a Magid Mizlochev. The Magid Mizlochev says that Mizlochev. Exactly. The Valnagoin, the Vilnig Zlochev. Zlochev. The Magid Mizlochev is the Talmud of Besht. He says, if you're Yetziva Ba'aro, if you think that you're permanent in this world, Giyar B'Shmaya, you're going to be a guest in Shemayim. You can't put your feet here and say this is your makam. But I want to show you something disgusting. I don't know if I even should show it in Shir, but just yesterday, this reminded me when I saw somebody sent this to me, and I said, "Oh, Yitziva Ba'aro B'Giyor B'Shemishmaya." The Giyorim of Eretz Yisrael. Who are the Gerim here? Who don't belong here? This is the cover of the newspaper, the leftist newspaper. 67 children died in the war. 67. There's not a single mention of a Yid that died here. A single mention. Yeah. This is in Gaza. This is the Giyorim. This is what they're celebrating. Oh. Okay, fine. Nebuch. Zumeruba, says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. You know why you're using your right hand to the coals? Zumeruba v'zumuetis. It's heavy. It's just a physical thing. He has to deal with these coals, and it's heavy compared to the Ketairis. So Memela, he has to use his right hand. What if the guy, we said that every kohen is different. So what if the guy, look at this, wow. This is the best. Rabbi said, I did search. I wanted to do something different, but this is Shaq. This is a regular bottle of water, by the way. That's how small it looks in his hand. Bemis, I'm not joking. He could, no. It's a drinking bottle. It's like this small. He could. I saw him do 4 bottles. He could hold 4 bottles in one hand. So if he's the kohen, his ketairis is a lot. It all goes by the kohen. So he could have heavier than the coals. Because the coals are exactly 3 kav, we said. So even if it's heavier, he still has to use his left hand for the heaviness. Why? Like plug. Most kohanim, the coals are going to be heavier than the ketairis. So even if his ketairis is heavier than the coals, finished. Says the Gemara, Ma'isa. Okay, Ma'isa the Rabbi Shmuel ben Kimchis. Does anybody remember Rabbi Shmuel? Rabbi Shmuel is the Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. He's one of the only Kohanim Doilim that lasted more than a year during that whole Tekufa when they were switching off the Kohanim every year. And his mother is the one that made him a garment, a very expensive garment. I think it was the one for 100 or 10, one of those. Ben Pavi, Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. Over here, he's called Ben Kimchis. Why? We're going to understand it. It's obvious from the story. Zu chama v'zu zu chama v'zu tzenenes shalav v'goyres here, but if it's hot, you have to deal with it. What? It takes it out. The gun takes it out. Somebody, the Bach, I think, the Bach takes it out. No, he does. The Bach takes it out. So if you don't take it out, it would mean that since it's hot, you need the right hand to deal with it. The left hand will be tush lamaza. You don't want coals falling all over the place. His chafina's hands are so huge. By the way, I didn't know this. This is just for nobody else, just for Noam. Michael Jordan had the 3rd largest hands in the NBA ever. You ever knew that? You'd think that, because I was doing the research. It's not me, between me, don't tell anybody else. No, it explains a lot. Voimer is not Stam, he was athletic, he's just, okay, fine. Will Chamberlain, so I did the whole, I was looking for the largest hands. Shaq wasn't even on the list, but that was the only picture I was able to. Voimer, so Mela, so he had very large hands. And listen what he did. He goes around telling people, I'll explain to you, why am I this kind of specimen? I'm huge, like 7 feet tall, hands like Ogmel Chabashan. So he would tell people, Kol hanoshim zered zardu. All the women, there was zered zardu. V'zered ima, but my mother zered. Oyla lagag is better than everybody else. Igad amri, so some people explain, Ba'arson, she used to eat like farina, what is that stuff called? The porridge, whatever it is, porridge. She ate the good stuff. It's good for a sick person, it's good for a pregnant woman. He was saying that the better part of the Shikva Zera was Koilet. He's the better part. He has better genes, so to speak. That's what he was saying. And again, that goes L'shitasi. That's not Gaiva. A person says, look, I'm 7 feet tall. He's not saying I'm better than you. It happens to be. I'm a better specimen. It doesn't mean the Rebbeinu Shalom likes me more, or I'm better off than you. I just happen to be tall. That's what happened over here. The Rebavo Rami. Rebavo has a stira. Very interesting that you have Perek Yud Ches of Tehillim and Perek Chav Beis and Shmuel Beis are almost identical, word to word. The entire thing. In fact, we just said it had on Pesach. On Shvish Pesach, we say the Haftarah of Shmuel, and according to the Vilna Gaon, that day you say the Shir Shal Yom of Perek Yud Ches. It's a famous perek. We say in Birkas Hamazon, we say Magdal and Migdal. Why? Because those are the differences between the two. It says one like this in Tehillim. It says Magdal and Migdal. So on Shabbos you say like Shmuel, and there's another difference here. Vatazreini chayla melchama. Vatazreini uchsiv hamazreini chayla melchama. So what's the difference? Why is Tehillim different than Shmuel when it comes to this word? Zerisani v'zerastani. You did the two things. That you chose me, so to speak, from the best part of the zera, and then you gave me koyach. Amru alav Rabbi Shmuel ben Kimchas. He once had a conversation with some sort of Arab. Now, the Rishonim talk about it. It's on Yom Kippur. He's in middle of his avodah. They separate him for a week. He's all careful about Tumah. And suddenly he's going to have a conversation with an Arab guy in the middle of the marketplace. What happened? We must say that the Arab was a king. The Arab was something. Something was going on there. There's some sort of reason why he had to do this. Because it's very dangerous to speak to an Arab. A non-Jew, his spit has the halacha of ziva. And Mela would make you tamei. Says the Gemara, and in fact, when he spoke to him, a piece of spittle hit the Kohen Gadol, hit his clothing. And therefore he couldn't be a Kohen Gadol anymore. So his brother went in there instead of him. And his mother saw, she was zeicha to see in one day two of her sons, not stam kohanim g'dolim, but kohanim g'dolim on Yom Kippur. It's the same exact story. Same thing, not an Arab, but a hegmoin, a general, a special sar chashuv. And again, he became Tommy from the guy. Another brother went in there and became the Kohen Gadol. Shiva bonim hoyeloi lekimches. These are some of the most famous lines in Shas. Kimches had 7 sons. What happened to his father Ben Parvi? V'kulon shimshu or Parvi. V'kulon shimshu b'kuhuna g'doilo. All 7 sons were koyanim g'doilim omrullah chachamim. So chachamim come to him. He said, "This is not normal. Something's going on. What's the secret? What's the secret formula? How do you have 7 sons that are koyanim g'doilim? 1, okay. 2, 7. There must be. You're doing something. Tell us your secret." The Mashal points out here, maybe the father did something good. She says that maybe she had a few different husbands, like they were from different fathers, so they were able to see right away. It wasn't from the one father. It wasn't the father. It was her genes. It was her. Or they knew that the father was not up to such good things, so it was her. The walls of my house never saw my braided hair. Some people, that's why some people say that you have the Moshe Feinstein. You see, the Yerushalmis, they're very makbid on braiding the hair. And a woman should braid her hair from this Gemara. Kilei sari should be braided. But again, halachically, a woman doesn't have to cover her hair inside her house. I was just thinking as I'm saying it, like you could just cut that. Halachically, you don't have to cut. A woman doesn't have to cut her hair. Stop, and then they take it. As Stefansky said, you don't have to cover. Fine. You don't have to cover your hair in your house. So she said, I was machmir in places that I could be machmir, not in the shower or whatever, but in a place that I was machmir. And that's why I was zeicha to 7 kohanim g'dolim. Amrullah, harbe asukein v'lo yi'ilu. That's not true. That's not the reason. There must be more than that. So a few things you see here, the I see are kopanim. I don't know if you're masking to me or not. These side that you see all over Shas, that in order to be zoicha to godless, in order for you to stick out, so to speak, you can't stick out if you put on tefillin. Everybody puts on tefillin. You have to go above and beyond. You have to take that extra step, do something different. Now, from here, you also see that it's something different. It's not even halacha. Halacha, she doesn't have to do it. She took upon herself a chumrah. It's a nice chumrah. It's not an halacha. Okay. So, godless, to be zoicha to 7, you go above and beyond in something that's not even halacha. And they didn't argue with her that she's doing, stama, chanyak, frumak, what are you doing? They said, the other women that do the same thing, and they weren't zoicha. Zog the Gemara Torah Rabbana. It says in the Torah, bekumtzoi, you should do a kemitza. Shlo yaseh mido lakoimetz. You should not make a vessel that holds the kemitza. In other words, you have to do it with your hand. You can't be a mafunik and say, I don't want to get my hand dirty. Here, let's take a measuring cup. Let's go like this. Take out the certain amount of flour. No, with your hand. Iboilu. Maushi yaseh mido lachafina. So we talked about kmitza, but what about the two-handed kmitza, so to speak, called the chafina, that we just spoke about? You have to take 2 hands of ketores, put in a vessel. What about that? It's dafka by kmitza that says bekumtzoi. Let's say bechafnav in his hand. It says chafnav, so it could be that size of 2 hands. So over here, the Gemara introduces us to Gzer Shava, Miloi Miloi, it says by Chafino Miloi, it says by Ktaris Miloi. Maybe they're the same. Toshma, V'kachoisa Midasa. Remember in the Mishnah we had these 3 words. It says, it doesn't matter if you have very large hands, very small hands, you bring it, and then the Mishnah ends off, V'kachoisa Midasa. What does it mean? It's not extra words. We already said, if you have large hands, great. If you have small. V'kachoisa Midasa, perhaps it means, and if you want, my love, if you want to make a kli for it, it's great. Loi. That's not what the Mishnah means. In addition to the chafina that you do outside, and you put it inside a bowl, and then you take the bowl into the kodesh kadashim, then you have to do that whole thing with the teeth, and you flip the bowl into your hands, and you're doing chafina for the second time. Okay, that's what the Mishnah means. Shmas min, chayfen v'chayzen v'chayfen. Well, we have a shaila if that's what you do. Isn't this a mefurish Mishnah? If vikach midasa doesn't mean you make a kli, so it must mean that you're doing a second chafina. But we don't know if you're doing a second chafina. But over here it says you do a second chafina. So now I have a pashtus to the ifshita to the ibaya. Over here it says Gemara dimashim ratza lasis midaisa. No, there's no pshitusa to the ibaya. Why? Because if I'm going to prove from here that you do a second chafina, then I'll say no. It's not a proof. The proof from this Mishnah is that I can make a kli. But if I'm going to prove from here that I can make a kli, now I'll say no, you did a second chafina. So there's no concrete proof. Anyway, if you want to bring it right here, so that mandam is going to say no. The Mishnah means that you can make a kli. And if you want to bring it right to the mandam that says you can make a kli, no, it's not talking about a kli. It's talking about doing a second chafina. The Mishnah doesn't say specifically what it is. No right. Inami shlo yichaser v'shlo yoiser. That whatever your shear is, if you're a shack and your shear is 20 gallons in your 2 hands, make sure you get 20 gallons, not 19 and a half, not 19.99. It should be exact, not a bit more, not a bit less. So let's not, already printed these, let's show them. To visualize. The Kohen takes a chafina from here. Did I show already the chafina one? He puts his 2 hands here, grabs 2 handfuls like this, puts it into the bowl. This is the kaf. Then he goes, why do I have this? Because it shows here that in his right hand you have the coals, and in the left hand he has the tires, and that's the Gemara's kasha. Why is it reversed? You see that the coals are heavier. That's why he's in the right hand. This is chayfen v'chayzer v'chayfen. This is what we just discussed. And once he reaches the kodesh hakadashim, he pours it out into his hand using his teeth according to one shita, but there's another chafina because it fills up his hand for the second time. Because he had the first time was in his hand, he poured it into the bowl. Now it's from the bowl back into his hand, and from his hand into the gechalim, and that's the k'tayris, and it stays there for the rest of the day. Now the Gemara asks, well, this is how you do kmitza. Truth is, I don't have to do a live demonstration. These pictures are better. I brought flowers just in case anybody wants to see it later. But this is a kmitza, sideways, 3 fingers, that's it. Now, the Gemara asks, maybe open up your fingers, overflow everywhere, it's coming out of all different places. Says the Gemara, it should be within the kaimets, inside it, not overflowing, coming out from different places. Very interesting to pay attention here. If you came to shir just for this, kedai, because over here the Gemara says barashi etz ba'isav, and on Amud Beis it says barashi etz ba'isav. Did you pick on this? Pick up on this? Who learned the daf? Mendy, you learned it? You picked up on this? This thing? No. Okay, so it's kedai that you came. Where's that water? Over here, barashi etz ba'isav means he's grabbing it with the tips of his fingers. Literally, barashi etz ba'isav. But on Amud Beis, it means that he's going like this. He's like a tractor going into the kemach. Here, you might be able to. Is this it? Oh, beautiful. See the big difference? This is Rashi Etzbaisav that we're talking about now. That it's within the fingers, and it's a very small amount. It's an amount. This is an amount, not an action. This is an action. This is how did you get the kmitza with a shovel-like thing, not sideways like this, but like this, just as a hara. So you understand that it's different. Says the Gemara, "Yochal afilu barashi etz ba'isav." No, it has to be full. Kidekamtzi inche, like we said over here. This is kidekamtzi inche. Like people, I guess in those days at least, this is how they do it. Sideways. I would today probably go like this. They went down and grabbed, and that's what it is. Full. Haketzad. He closes his 3 fingers on his hand. Turning to Mem Zayin Amud Beis, sponsored Shidduch Fest, Devora Bas Gittel, and for Devora Bas Suri, nishmas the Meron victims, for Shlema for the Meron victims. The MDY Chabura is truly one big family. Now, there's different menachas. Some of them are flour and oil, water, but you have marcheshes. You have the deep fried one and the baked one. This is the most difficult thing to do in the Beis HaMikdash. Why? You're taking something very hard, a tough material. Think to yourself, a piece of bread, and you're going with your thumb this way. But even try to do right now without any bread in your hand. Try to go with your pinky and go up and down. It's very difficult. I'm having trouble doing it right now. But you want to do your pinky to cut the bread precisely. You can't leave any extra jumping that way. You can't take off too much that goes into your finger that way. It has to be miduyak, bull, exact, laser cut. That is the hardest thing in the Beis HaMikdash to do. As the Gemara, zuhi v'sulai. Even today we mentioned another very difficult thing called chafina. What about, according to most Rishonim, you're taking the bird, like we had on Matzah Shabbos, the bird, the pigeon, and with one hand you got to grab its legs and its wings, and with your thumb you're going right through the vertebrae of the bird. It's very difficult. I never tried it, but I'm assuming that first of all you have to be powerful. I said on Matzah Shabbos that we're going to do it, but Yeshua didn't want to do it. Huh? Fingernails, but it hurts. It hurts and it's hard and okay. Says the Gemara, what about, you think it's so, we tried it here, to take a bowl, a big bowl full of 2 hands worth of Torahs, flip it over into your hands, and not one speck, how do you say speck? Gargir? Granule. Particle is not good, but one piece fall off onto the ground, you can't. It's awesome. Elazuhi. It's one of them. It's not the one. It's one out of one bit. It's one of the 3. This is the only time in Shas his name is brought down. What about the flour or whatever it is that gets stuck between the fingers, in between the fingers? He's going like this. What happens then? What is it? Omar Papa, the Gavai, if it's the inner part that it sees the inside of your hand, if you can see it from inside, it's part of the Kmitza. The Barai, and if you see it from the outside, it's certainly not part of the Kmitza. The Bein Beini, exactly in the middle. Now, when I saw this, like, why is he going to have to do this to us? It's such a darkest kasha. But I saw that Tzafnas Paneach, the Rogachover, he says this would be the same question that we have about Ben Hashmashas. This is the Shaila. It's one of these questions that it's nishtahin and nishtaher, but it's a lifetime question, and there's no answer to this kind of question, and that it's the same kind of idea. Rabbi Yochanan, in between this, what was Rabbi? The mantle, the iskufa. Rabbi Yochanan, Hada Pashta Yeshua ben Uzzah. It's interesting. Bein habinayim safek ninu. It's a suffix. But if you look at the lashon of the Gemara, Hadar Pashta, he said a halacha lamaisa. What's the halacha? I'm paskening. The halacha is it's a suffix. And therefore what? So we have the same sveikas. Ben Hashmash is also paskin, it's a suffix, and therefore you have different, it's negel lamaisa. Now what? So now what do you do? Shkoyach, it's a suffix, and now what? You take that part that's in between the fingers, you put it on the mizbeach. And afterwards, you take the kaimetz, you take the whole kaimetz, and you put it on the mizbeach, and then afterwards you take the stuff that got stuck between the fingers. The amr is bein benayim bereisha, because if you're going to say that the stuff that's in between the fingers goes first, dilma shirayim yinu. Now we have a suffix. You need to put it on the mizbeach. Why do you need to put it on the mizbeach? Because what if it is the kmitza? It has to go on the mizbeach. But what if it's not the kmitza? They have another problem. Dilma shirayim yinu. V'havelu shirayim shechasru ben kmitza la'aktara. The halacha is if part of the shirayim, you have a big bowl of flour, whatever, and you take a tiny amount, it's very small, and you put it on the mizbeach, and then something went wrong with the bowl. A part of it went missing. You cannot eat anything from the bowl. Now it's a mitzvah to eat the bowl. You have to eat you give it to the kohanim to eat. It's part of the kmitza. You won't be able to eat it. So you can't, just in case it's the shirayim, it belongs in the bowl, and you put it on the mizbeach. Now the bowl is missing a part. Now nobody can eat from it. Now there's another problem here. You cannot break up a carbon. Let's say you're bringing a oila, and you bring most of it on. And, I forgot a piece. Too late. You can't take the piece afterwards and put it back on. Over here also, if I put the kmitza on, I can't come running back 5 minutes later and say, let me take the parts that got stuck between the fingers and put it on. It's too late. It has to be in one shot. The This is Eitzah, he makes a Tanai. And he puts it on the Mizbeach, and he says, if what I'm putting on is my kaimetz, it's part of the carbon, it's a carbon. But if it's not, then I'm putting it on as fuel firewood. Rabbi Eliezer says that if parts of a chatas and oila get mixed up, so I could put them all on the Mizbeach, and I say, whatever my suffix is, if it belongs to the Mizbeach, great. But if it doesn't, then it's firewood. It's fuel. If you cannot put it on the Mizbeach, you can't take the chatas and put it on the Mizbeach when it doesn't belong in the Mizbeach. Because if you have kavana, l'reach nichayach, for a carbon, it's aser. But if you have kavana for wood, for fuel, then it's okay. Okay, that's great. Rabbanan say you cannot do it tonight like that. It doesn't work. Oh, I love this. The Kamtzi Shmeine. Get a hefty zaftik kohen. An overweight guy. Rabbi say, nobody should go on a diet yet. Mashiach might be coming, they might call you up to be a kohen, and you have to have fat fingers. If you have fat fingers, there will be no room for the stuff to go in. You're checking to see if you have fat fingers. You have a little room in there. A little bit. Come on, I see through. You don't have it? You can be a kohen. You need to go on a diet, Levi. The Miri asks here, what's going on? Does that mean that we'll see in a second, hold on. You should always bring a fat kohen, a larger kohen, overweight kohen. Ask the Miri. So, that means that every kohen gadol has to be heavy. How do you can't be skinny and a kohen gadol, it doesn't go together. So it's a good kasha. I don't know. You mean that those? Not every kohen gadol was wealthy, and then the Bayesheni. Oh, they made them wealthy. What? But that takes a few days. What do you do the first Yom Kippur? Says the Gemara over here. So we're gonna write. Yeah, we have to. It'll be like a shayla. Why are they doing these giant koyanim? I in Daf Yomi Amud Beis. Ben Abinayim Poshad V'Machatz V'Pizza V'Chisha V'Chavinas Chaveroi Simon. Bayra Papa. Ben Abinayim Shamaloi Chofna Mao. The in between of the fingers of the chafina when you do it two hands. Same question as we had before. Before we were talking about a kmitza. Now we're talking about two hands. What's the question? Didn't we have the same shaila before as chafina like kmitza? And we said there's a gzer shava, not Says Gemara, Papa hochi bayilei. Without, I don't need the gzer shava. Another question. It says in the pasuk that you should bring it. Being in vayika, I'm bringing everything. It says do a chafina and bring it. I don't care if it's in the fingers or out of the fingers. Or dilma v'lokach v'hevi. The word lekicha means you have to have intent. And that went into your fingers, between your fingers without your intent. You didn't want it to get there. It went there by itself. V'haleka. Teiku. Omer Papa. Pshitali miloi kumtzoi kidekamtzi inchi. It's pasha to me that it means the way people, kmitza is like people do it. So again, you karate chop into the bowl of flour and well, according to Rashi, you go like this. Your fingers are already bent. Some say not. You go like this, and then you grab it. Bayra Papa. Over here does not mean the amount. It means like a shovel going this way. He didn't go sideways, but he went this way. What about if you're coming, instead of this way, you're coming from down upwards. You're going this way. What if you're closing your fingers like this? Let's see, we have some pictures. This is Rosh Boys going downwards. This is a regular kmitza. This is Malay Kumtze, down, like this, sideways. This is Milamata Lamala, going upwards and grabbing. And this right over here is Minat Zdadim, is going and just closing your fingers up. This is what chafina looks like. You put your two hands together and you grab two handfuls. What if he went downwards like a tractor? He went down, he went in and then upwards. What if he closes his fingers like this? What if he did a chafina with one hand, did a chafina with another hand, and then after he had the two hands, then he put them together. Have a wonderful day. Amatzi Shabbos, 9:30 regular time. Shira Malois,
Rebelli, good morning.
Okay.
Ellie,
By the way, what?
my wife and I were at a game, and afterwards we got to get to certain parts of the stadium that aren't open to the people, and I got to spend some time with Shaq. Somewhere we have a before and after look, me and Shaq.
You have a picture of that?
I tried on his
his hand's very big.
What's that?
Or his hand's really big. I mean, I know he has a size 22 shoe.
Yeah, we were joking about his clown shoes.
Rebelli, how you doing?
Rebelli, there were
I'm doing
two Shvam
great.
there.
Jack,
Rebelli,
mazel tov
there
on
were
your
two-
son's Sion.
Thank you. But there were two Shvam there. It wasn't just two copies. It was volume 1, volume 2.
I didn't see the second one. I didn't have a
Oh,
chance
send it
to see it yesterday.
All right. Anyway, just look around. They're both there.
Somewhere.
Good morning, Ellie.
Good morning, Ellie. You didn't change your name yet, huh?
No, I can't figure it out.
You gotta do before you log on.
Mark, change his name.
Yeah.
Rebelli,
We all
Mark
know
George
who he
Field.
is.
remember the story from a year ago? You held up a picture of
Do me a
Carol's
favor and cut it
grandfather,
out.
his
Who's?
wife's grandfather. He said he never saw his wife's hair in 75 years.
I heard that story. Who was it again?
Aaron Shalom.
Why his wife's grandfather?
Who?
Harry
Harry.
Shalom's wife's grandfather. You held up the picture. You told the story.
I held up the picture. I said the story. Oh, Harry Shalom's grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah, his dad reminded me of that.
Yes, I didn't have what you're saying. Now I have. Okay, yes. Where is he?
He was.
He was on.
Who's talking? That's Avi?
Yeah.
That's how we show.
Doesn't sound like you.
A little tired. You know, in New York, it's very late.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
better.
sure, it's already
Akiva,
1 in the morning.
I wasn't sure, Akiva, if that was your car or you found the car.
That was my car.
So I didn't want to the picture. I was like, oh, look what he found.
I figured for Yaeli, who's in Williamsburg, I figured,
From
give him some.
Williamsburg. Yeah. I forgot to mention him actually. Williamsburg.
Billy, Warren here in Lakewood. How's it going?
You're in Lakewood now, Warren?
Yeah, I'm going to Brooklyn for Shabbos actually. So hopefully I'll meet up with some of the New Yorkers.
I think what you should do is take that bus that we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah, I heard about it.
The Lakewood shuttle.
Yeah.
Check out
I'm more comfortable in the car that I've got. Don't worry.
What?
More comfortable in the car that they rented me. Sorry.
No, but you have to see what the shuttle is. We might have to buy them like a screen because I don't think they're watching it on a screen.
Ellie,
Aaron has already reached out.
when is
Have a good one. Good
when
Shabbos,
is the Kosel Shir?
Good Shabbos, Warren.
Shabbos. We'll see you. I'll
Yeah,
be in touch later.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah, I'll message you later.
Okay, thanks.
Ellie.
Okay,
Welcome to Lakewood.
thanks.
Shabbos,
Good.
Warren. We want to say some nice things,
Ellie.
Aaron.
Good Shabbos,
Does
Rebelli.
the Yoeli keep up with Yoeli?
Shabbos, everybody.
Not Yoeli. No, Yoeli from Lakewood and
Elkon.
Shook. Are they still out? I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah. They were.
Yeah. You mean anonymous, Yardley?
Anonymous Yoeli, correct. Thank you.
Yeah, he's still around. He's I'll send some regards.
Yeah.
He won't be so shy now.
I
He's
brought a
talking
bunch
about
of
him.
flour. I ran out to the store. I brought flour. I went to the store to buy a book. I didn't get to use it today. The pictures were really good, and I ran out of time. It was okay, yes.
Hey, Ellie, I have a little bit of not such good news on your side.
What's not good news by us?
Don't tell me canceling.
In the next 3 weeks, I am leaving Zoom.
Yeah.
Shabby Racham.
Where's he going to camp?
Why?
He's going to camp.
Oh,
What are you guys giving away the punchline?
I think there should be learning time, which is America's Daf Yomi in camp.
There should be a big screen with Zoom.
Ellie, you going to Romamu?
Yes.
So talk to
Wow.
Rabbi Fletcher. Tell him you need to be online for your shir.
Also,
I
you
have-
can still use Zoom
I have
phone
somebody
calls.
who I'm doing it with.
So
We have to work this out. We have to work this out.
And I'm sure Eli knows him.
Who, Rabbi Pfeiffer?
No,
Armo?
no.
Okay.
Rabbi Avi Slansky.
Oh. Slansky. So I'm sure you can work it out with him.
Do you
Okay.
know
Office.
him,
Worst
Eli?
comes worst is you call into the Zoom call every day. I'm planning on doing that.
Nehemiah, in camp, you don't always have a cell phone.
Yes, you can get a hold of a cell phone. I'm coming as a staff, so
A little
I'll be
different.
able to get.
Oh, well, that's different.
Come
What
here,
camp
I
you
thought
go
you
to?
were there this morning.
They let them have. Yeah, I was there. I left.
Nehemiah, what camp you going
You
to?
are already that quickly?
It's about a 7-minute walk from my house.
She was over more than 7 minutes ago. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost time to go to Shabbos, Eli.
It is.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Mark, you taking away Eli Trapper's job.
Mark, what's the story today with the Zoom bombers? Did it get better?
No, Baruch Hashem was quiet today.
That's day.
Okay, but I have to ask Gary because there's the waiting room now, right?
We wait when most of the chaver came in. I turned it on there when there were like 80 something guys in. It was like at 7:25. I turned it on. It was quiet till then.
And you let all 87 in. You were able to tell everybody had a good.
No,
name?
the people that were coming in at the beginning were all had a name except one or two. One guy has a fish in his picture. I don't know.
That's fish old.
Official catering.
Yeah.
Eli has no.
He knows.
clue
He
what's
smiled
behind
right
the
away.
scenes. Don't worry about it.
And then afterwards, you know, once
Yeah.
Oh, here's official. I see official.
And
Was that official?
I think that's unique enough.
When are you coming in?
Hey, Mark.
Yes, Ellie.
You better get ready until you see me on the other side, standing next to.
Okay, guys, I gotta run. But before I run, second Shabbos, I just officially
Shabbos
get the anytime soon.
Great share.
You're muted, Fisher.
You're muted, Fisher.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Ellie,
good Shabbos. I gotta run.
Have a good Shabbos.
You have 2 minutes.
Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.